Hello there, Cynthia here in this month's Leaders Log. So I had a thought. A couple days ago I was invited to a discussion group, a book discussion group, around a book called The Ideal Team Player. And it's written by Patrick Lencioni, who you might be familiar with because he wrote the ever-popular book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. In this book, which I think is about his 10th one, he writes about the individual within a team and what to look for an individual, probably what to look for when you're hiring if it's possible. And in the book, he speaks to 3 what he calls virtues or traits. They aren't skills, they're traits. And he says these 3 are the most important. They are the 3 traits or virtues that he uses within his own company called the Table Group when they are hiring individuals. And clients started asking him, what is it that you look for an ideal team player? And he shared with them what they use. And it became a thing. So I wanted to share those 3 traits with you, and I would be so interested in knowing your thoughts on it. The 3 traits to look for an ideal team player are they humble, are they hungry, and are they smart? But they need a little bit of explanation. When he says, are they humble, he means, do they have humility? Are they able to set their egos aside to think in a broader, less pointed perspective and hear what's going on? Are they self-aware enough to check their ego at the door and work for the benefit and cohesiveness of the team? The second one was hunger. And by hunger, he meant, are they motivated? Now, at this point, we know that motivation is an intrinsic value. It comes from the inside out. But of course, there are things that you can do to help a person find that motivation, seek what it is they're looking for, and build structures around it to try to help them achieve that. The third item, and he says the third virtue is to be smart. He doesn't mean book smart. He doesn't mean having an MBA. He means being people smart. How people smart out there, how savvy, how intuitive, perhaps components of emotional intelligence. So those are the 3 he thinks are important. He also says that the one that weighs more than the other 2, in his opinion, is the first one, humility, being humble, learning again how to set the ego aside and listen with an open mind. That takes a great deal of self-awareness. And then it comes to the book, if you're familiar with Lencioni's book, the crux of the book is a story. And in the back end, he talks analysis. And he is the first to admit that reading the story and identifying with the story and identifying these 3 traits is the easy part. The hard part is, how do you practice that? How do you put it in practice? How do you apply it? And he has suggestions at the back end of the book. Now, those individuals that were in the room to review this book with me were all behaviorists or behavioral strategists. So there was an awful lot of discussion about whether or not these 3 were actually the 3, or should the 3 be based on what the organization's culture is about, or is humility actually the most important one? So I would invite you to either respond to me or share with me what you think about that, because I would be curious to know. We had kind of our own opinions around it. We recognize that Lencioni and his group are very legitimate, are very honored in the field of business books and his theories, and they're practiced. But there was, as I said, a lot of discussion. So I would challenge you to see, number 1, are your individual team members, do they have those 3 components? Is humility the heavy one? Or do you think there are 3 other components that would work better within your culture? It's really a lot of food for thought, and it's really a good discussion. And I would encourage you to read the book. It's a typical Lencioni book. It takes less than 3 hours to read the whole thing from cover to cover. It might take a lot longer to apply, but it gives you a roadmap. All right? Have a very good month. I'll see you next month.